Hello, everyone. Hi. Welcome to Metaphysical Happy Hour. Tonight is actually a super cool show. We have Michelle Henderson with us, who helped start Metaphysical Happy Hour with me. And so now she is back. She was super busy there for a while. And so tonight, Tracy is in Belize with her doing some fun stuff out there.
Having a good time.
And having a great time. So we've got Michelle with us tonight, and that's so awesome. Michelle, do you want to tell a little bit about yourself?
Well, there's not too much about me. I'm Michelle Henderson. I'm a psychic medium in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I am so excited to be with Cassie again. And I'm going to raise my wine glass and say, blessings to spirit.
Absolutely. And we also have another amazing guest with us tonight, and her name is Carol Banayos. Carol, tell everyone a little bit about you.
So I would describe myself as a multifaceted expression exhibitionist. So that means I express all aspects of myself, which is, mind, body, soul, spirituality, sexuality, speaker, and just expressing my mind. And I also kind of turned this coin or this statement for myself, which my friend kind of helped me with, is an archaeologist of the mind, body, and soul. So essentially that means that I can dive deep into someone's inner being and determine their genius, but also the internal shit that keeps them held hostage. And I do it in an integrated approach with coaching and then my psychic and clairvoyant abilities. So.
That is awesome. Very awesome. So I know that you have a couple different things going on with you. You've got the Wake the Fuck Up movement, and you've also got Soldemic. And then you've also got, and help me fill in the blanks here a little bit. You also have
the Singularity Focus series, which is specifically for entrepreneurs, is providing them with golden nuggets from inspirational books or powerful concepts, as well as interviewing entrepreneurs to see what was that one thing that was the biggest shift in making them successful in their career.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Michelle, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what's your inspiration behind all of this? I mean, you are a busy lady. You've got a podcast. You've written a book. So how did you first get started?
Well, that's a funny story. So just imagine your life being peaceful and quiet and going well. And then all of a sudden you end up being in jail, not for anything that you did, but just to help your brother out for wanting him to have a second chance at life. So that was me 7 years ago. And so when that first happened to me, when I first got arrested, it was very a traumatic experience for me, because I at that moment in time, my goal and purpose was always to help people. And when that happened to me, it really kind of shifted my perspective. Is like, if this is what happens to me when I help people, I want to go to jail and all this other shit. So I went through this whole process. And after I went out of jail, I realized that, it strengthened my conviction to want to help people, because I realized that if I can use my experience as a way to help others go through whatever tumultuous in their life is, then I want to turn that into inspiration, that no matter what happens in your life, you can still pursue what it is that you want. And I'll never put a business underneath my name for anyone at all ever again. I learned that lesson, but I know that I can help people in the capacity that I can, which is coaching, mentoring, consulting, and then helping entrepreneurs become thought leaders in the industry by book publishing as well.
And I also saw in your bio that you've had a near-death experience.
Yeah.
Or several of them.
Yeah, I actually had a couple of them. So I think there's some different definitions when it comes to near-death experiences. So I didn't actually pass over and come back. So essentially the first one is where I kind of was in a car crash, and we were at a stoplight, and the van came running into us like 60 miles an hour or more and pushed us through the intersection. And the car was sandwiched in half. And I wasn't even wearing a seatbelt in the back. And the jaws of life had to take us out of the vehicle. And, you know, at that point in time, since I was already like dead and numb, I didn't realize the severity of that situation. Like I could have almost died, but instead I kind of went along living my life. And the second aspect of a near-death experience where I wanted kind of to end my own life because I was in a really toxic relationship. And, you know, I tried to leave several times, but then it didn't work. And then, you know, with the rationality that comes into your mind at that time is that the only way that I can really leave is if I kill myself, you know? And luckily the relationship ended before that happened. And otherwise I would not be here today.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, to me, it's so interesting that the things that happen to us happen for a reason. Mm-hmm. So that, like you said, you're an inspiration for others. Yeah. Because, you know, I meet so many clients and they go through the same thing. They go through depression or something, you know, eventful that has happened in their lives. And it like wakens them up and it turns them around. And then it just seems like they can help others that have been through the same thing.
Yeah. Definitely. And I just think that, you know, I did a segment on my podcast or a talk the other day that life happens for us and not to us. And I think if we are able to kind of see that for what it is, then we're always going to be in the more empowering victor mode in our life rather than victim, you know, where you have no control and then you're just kind of blowing in the wind like a leaf. But we absolutely have control of our thoughts and how our external reality is based on what are we working on in the internal world.
Can you kind of tell us about your book? What is in it?
Well, there's several kind of books that I wrote, but that one is currently out on Amazon. So the Wake the Fuck Up book, A Journey from Death to Awakening, is basically like helping people awaken from their slumber. Because right now there's so many people that are operating in life as, I would say, like as a mere passerby, as a zombie, and kind of like an extra in their movie rather than the main character, the director of their life. And essentially, I just kind of explain and use my story to kind of illustrate, you know, when I kind of finally woke the fuck up and realized that the life that I was living at that moment wasn't the life that I really wanted. I spent 7 years like getting 2 degrees in university because I thought my dream was to work in the government as an HR consultant. I got to that career. I did 7 years there, but early into that career, I realized that wasn't what I wanted. I remember being at a retirement party and my coworkers were talking to each other and they're like, oh, you know, that's going to be you in 25 years. They're talking. And then my whole body contracted. I'm like, what the fuck? This felt like, right? And I laugh now because I never thought I'd actually go to prison. You know what I mean? But then at that moment, I realized that all the social conditioning, you know, from my parents' environment, you got to go to school, work hard and get a job and you'll be happy. But I was miserable as fuck. And then I realized that it was my responsibility to kind of change course, do a course correction. So I realized, okay, there's a couple aspects in my life that I've always wanted to do. I always want to move to Australia to meet the crocodile hunter, but at that time he was already dead, but I want to go there anyways. I want to pursue a career in real estate. And so I did get my work visa for Australia and New Zealand. So I went to activate that. And when I came back, my friend's like, hey, why don't you go take this real estate course? I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then at the end of that weekend, I was offered a job that matched my salary. And I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I took that route instead. But little did I know, staying here, you know, unfolded to me going to jail and having to deal with a legal battle that lasted 6 years and then having to spend, you know, 8 months in jail afterwards. So it was really kind of a challenging time because during that period of 6 years, I was in and out of jail like a total of 4 times.
Would you say that's kind of like your spiritual awakening during that whole time?
Yes. Yeah. Like I think it was more. It was it was a spiritual awakening. But then what it really was to be able to put into practice everything that I learned. Because a lot of time people can say, I have resilience, I have a strong mindset, I have the capacity and wherewithal to deal with all life challenges. But when you're actually put into the situation, are you going to wither, or are you actually going to stand up and like work through it and break through everything? So I think this whole lesson for me, it was to test my capacity to see if I was able enough to handle it. And I think, when I was in jail, there was this most amazing quote that I heard, and it stated that the best students in life get the best tests. And so that doesn't mean scholastically. Right. It means, and if you're wanting to kind of pursue something bigger and greater than yourself, then life is going to give you tests. The universe is going to give you a test. And are you going to pass, or are you going to falter again, right? So I kind of made sure everything that I went through, I took the lesson out of it to become a better version of myself. So when because I always believe that I cannot give what I do not have. So if I'm coaching people to kind of pursue their dreams, get over certain traumas in their life, I have to have first done it myself. So that's why I can walk my talk, and I can give people the advice and guidance that they need, because I went through it. And sometimes it's maybe more at a 10x scale, and so I think if I'm able to do it as a 10x scale, then whoever I help can gravitate towards that level, because I have such a high belief that they can accomplish anything that they put their mind to.
So talk about your coaching services. You coach people. Do you do it individual? Do you do it in groups? Or what services do you offer?
Well, it's kind of one-on-one. Currently, but I'm moving more to the online space because I want to do group facilitation. So essentially what I've been working with clients on is helping them transition from working on rather than in their business. So a lot of times with these small, medium business owners, they don't have the systems and structures in place to do what it is that they want. So a lot of the times they're functioning at all these different roles. They're the admin, they're like, the errand boy, they're the payroll, they're, all these different people. And so it's kind of doing an internal assessment to see all those different roles, and then being able to extract that from that business owner and make them realize that they have to operate at a certain hourly rate. So say for you as a business owner, your hourly rate is like $1,000 an hour or $500 an hour, then why are you doing $10 to $15 hour tasks? That can be better suited for an outsource to admin or whatever kind of staff at a different level. And so when you're able to do that, then you can get the process of duplication, so you can have more time and freedom. But this is not for everyone, because it takes work, and it takes following structures and rules. And and again, most of these small and medium business owners don't have the HR system, hiring, firing, performance review, discipline, firing, and all that other jazz. And so since I have that experience, then I can bring that into an organization or business that doesn't have that. And then so what that actually turned into, especially since I download from individuals, is that when entrepreneurs want to become thought leaders. So when I work with someone, again, it's an assessment. And right when I connect with them, then I get the idea of the book. I get all of the chapters, and I get all the information that I need to extract their genius to create a book, and then also to create a program and help them become a thought leader. But then again, sometimes people say they want to kind of play a big game, but when it's all said and done, sometimes people are not able to step into that big dream and big vision that is kind of downloaded from source to give to them. So it is pretty challenging at times, but I have to also realize that that distinction of being responsible to versus responsible for. I can give them the best service that I can, but each person has their own time of when they're able to step up to the plate and live the purpose.
I see. Wow, that is very well needed. Do you feel like, especially since COVID happened, are you getting a lot more customers that are lost and they're trying to find their way?
Well, I was doing one-on-one readings, and I find that what is more apparent is that a lot of people don't know who they are and what they want, and especially what's holding them back. And I think since I'm able to pinpoint exactly when I look at someone and like, oh, okay, that's what's holding you back. This is what you need to work on. Then at least they have some clarity of like, whoa, and also some closure. I remember just on Friday, I was in this women's meeting, and then I think there were about like 17 girls on there, and each of them were kind of talking about like a specific trauma that they had, but they don't know where it came from. And then quickly I was able to like, this is why this happened, that, like all around down the road, because I get directly from source what that issue and trauma is. And a lot of the females were like, whoa, that's pretty amazing. Like, I actually feel closure now that I finally know. And so I think in that aspect, that's why I'm moving more into the online space, because I want to help more people. And you can't really do that on a one-on-one basis.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Well, Cassie, I feel like I've been asking all these questions. They've just kind of come to me. And it's like, I've got to ask her this. Do you have any questions? I feel like I've just been asking question after question.
Well, I mean, I love that, because I've been kind of taking care of the comments and the things coming in. We did have a comment by Christina Fisher saying, thank you for sharing your story, Carol. So I'm also going to post to the chat. If anybody has a question for Carol or for any of us that are up here, please feel free to drop that in the comments as we go through the show. As well, towards the end of the show, we'll be doing some live readings and things like that. So, so we definitely have a little bit more time before that, though. But I love the fact that, like, everything that you're saying, Carol, because I'm like, there's because I do think it's so important, and especially as like business owners, it's like to grab that clarity. And so, but I love how you mix having this, like, you use your intuitive side to help your clients, even if you're working somebody like who may not necessarily be in this like in the spiritual field. So you can kind of like tap in and kind of help your people, which I think is awesome. We actually have a comment from Karen Pulver saying, Carol is an inspiration, such a powerful story. Yes.
Thank you, Karen. And also thank you, Christina, for your kind words. It's really muchly appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah. So I would like to kind of touch on, and maybe you have tell us a little bit more about like your Wake the Fuck Up, or tell us a little bit more about your podcast that you've got.
Okay, so the Wake the Fuck Up movement was a podcast that was created from my book that I wrote, which we talked about earlier, the Wake the Fuck Up, A Journey from Death to Awakening. And then I did that in person. And now, again, the whole sole purpose of that is to be able to kind of reach more people and impact more people, but also to be able to talk about topics that a lot of people are not willing to talk about. And, it's not kind of to create this bitch fest, of people talking about certain topics. I think the most important aspect of that is to be able to change the narrative of what is being done. So I think one of the topics that I thought of, and I had a couple people join me, was white privilege and racism within races. And so I think a lot of times those topics are not really talked about, maybe behind closed doors, but not like in the public. So from that discussion is like kind of what is those things? How do they exist? But then how can we shift the narrative so that people can be more aware that these things can exist? And then also being able to be part of the solution rather than the problem. Because a lot of the times, the reason why this came up, I remember I was in a social platform and they're talking about, systemic racism, and that there needs to be certain people in office, and we need to kind of fundraise to kind of put these people in political offices. And, a lot of people are agreeing with that. And I was like, hey, wait a second, that's one aspect. So, but how are you going to be able to change the perception of what people have of you being a black male, when the stereotypes is you are supposed to be a rapper, a basketball player, or a drug dealer. So how are you going to change that? And it's also having to go back to the grassroots movements of people who are wanting to push for a better future. But essentially, at the end of the day, that kind of stuff begins in the house. You know what I mean? A lot of people want to push responsibilities out to the government, the police, and all that other shit. But it starts within the house. So how can us as parents or siblings or aunties or people teach us within the household to kind of be able to be more acceptive and equal with all different races? So when we can do that, then that will kind of spring out to the community, to government, and throughout the world. So it starts at home. So talking about topics like that.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's so awesome. And I think it's also so needed. And I know also with COVID, like I know we're kind of back, like we're at the point now where we're starting to kind of, the world's starting to kind of open its doors up a little bit more. But like, what has been your experience through all this? Like, I know Michelle had asked, like, have you, about the number of clientele, but like, have you seen them like with different struggles than you would like other years?
Well, I think it's essentially what it is that human connection, right? And then the restrictions of not having, the normal human banter and the normal human touch, like hugging or like, fist pounding or like, all those things are kind of restricted. Then especially if things are in lockdown, then they're not able to go into certain work sites, so that capacity to actually do work, that has been a challenge. But for me personally, throughout, this whole COVID situation, to be honest, like, it actually hasn't really hindered me that much, to be honest, because since I've been in prison, and all this other stuff, at least I can actually go outside to the park and go for a walk. Like it was still pretty like easy for me. But the thing, I think the main thing is just, again, being able to understand what is going on and being able to adapt. Because a lot of the times, when people are wanting to blame external circumstances and they want their external circumstances to match what they think inside, then that causes a lot of inner turmoil. So if we can accept, okay, currently this world is in this kind of crisis, the only thing that you can actually change is your thought process and perspective. So I just learned to adapt and go from there. And hopefully just by kind of sharing that story and also helping people to kind of think for themselves, because a lot of times everyone can be puppeteering by what is being broadcasted and educated out in the media and taking it as their own versus, questioning what is happening. Questioning, is this for me or is it, to really kind of know their own internal navigation to know what's right for them, what's wrong.
Sure. Well, and also, so I guess my next question with that is going to how, like, so if you have if you're working with somebody who is struggling with that mental anguish, like what kind of steps would you give them? What advice would you give them in order to kind of get a little bit more control over that? Okay, so are you talking in terms of this whole COVID situation, or in regards to their own personal turmoil? Just in general. Okay, so essentially, when I meet someone, even when I was doing my one-on-one reading, so even before I actually met the individual or talked to them in person, I'm already getting downloads for what it is that their trauma is. And why that has been a blockage in their adulthood, and why they keep on, because there's just so many different aspects of how that happens, and it's unique to each individual. But all I know for sure from everyone that I work with, it's kind of a trauma that's happened in their childhood. And if you really even want to dive in more deeper, a past life, ancestral, like DNA, like all those generational traumas. So it can really kind of open up to all those different aspects. But say, for instance, I'm meeting with someone and I get all these downloads. And when I meet them, before they even say anything, like I can be like, okay, this is what's going on with you. That's why you're experiencing this blockage. And that's why you cannot get to this next level of success. And once they kind of realize that, they're like, holy fuck,
they finally have clarity. And then, what's interesting, what happens after I meet with them, it's almost like there's almost like a breakage that happens, like a breakdown, like something like if you were to, the vision that they showed me, if you were to kind of look at like a white egg, a white golden egg, and all of a sudden having that reading with them, it cracks. So what they kind of actually go through is like a purge. So I don't know what happens, but I know that they always go through a purge, and they go through this kind of dark night of the soul, because now that they allowed me to kind of enter their energy in their field, then that allows for all this other shit to kind of come from the darkness into the light to work on. So it's not just like dealing with their trauma. It's like when I meet with someone, it's all different aspects. It's the trauma, it's their mindset, it's their relationship, it's about them, and even like the thoughts that they're thinking. You know what I mean? It's almost scary at times, but it's also excited, and sometimes I can't even believe what's coming out of my mouth sometimes. But the one thing that I know is that when I meet with someone, no matter how traumatic or twisted what comes to me, I don't question it, I say it. Because if I don't say that, I think whatever comes through me has to pass through me and give it as a message to that individual that I'm working and focusing on that moment, because that's what they need to hear. And it's not about, you cannot like be all precious and nicety about all this other shit. If you're real and raw as fuck, you need to give it to people, not how they want it or how they want it, but how they need to hear it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be pussyfooting around the subject. You need to just give them straight.
Absolutely. And we definitely have some viewers who are definitely agreeing with you, saying that that's something that they can totally understand. And I like that. I like that you have that ability to like kind of be able to tap in and then just allow to like kind of hold that space and like let them like reach their next level. We do actually have a question from Kimberly Trailer Wow that sorry if I messed up the last name. Has anyone ever followed up with you about what you told them? Like, did something you say to them that changed their life?
Yeah, I actually have several testimonials from the people that I have done session with and readings with. And they said that it has changed their life, because a lot of times these people have gone through several counselors, therapists, and no one has ever been able to pinpoint what I've been able to pinpoint. And, a lot of the time people are, especially with their mindset, they're focusing on the lack when they already have an abundance, right? So if they're able to kind of shift that perspective and then figure out what's holding them back, then and also express it. When they're able to express what has been repressed, then that starts a healing process. And what I know for sure, and when I work with individuals, what they have been trying to accomplish for years and years and years, in a couple of sessions, they're able to accomplish that with me. And it's life-changing. And then also, it's not even a year after I met people, they still saying the advice and guidance that I gave them are still helping them navigate their career as being a coach or an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So in the very beginning, was it difficult to listen to spirit, the information that you were getting, or did you accept it totally?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story of how this all came about. So I remember I was talking to my spiritual teacher, and then I asked him, I'm like, I want to become more spiritually advanced. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you have to do psychic readings. I'm like, what the fuck, psychic readings? I've never done a psychic reading in my entire life. And so I told my my business partner at the time that that's what my teacher wanted me to do. And he's like, okay, read me right now. I'm like, read you? I don't even know how to read you. And so we're sitting in the boardroom, and then so I was sweating. I'm like, I don't want to do this shit. I'm getting out of here. And so I don't know what I did. I sat in the chair, and then I closed my eyes, and then I saw his aura, and then I saw words and all these things that I had to interpret. And then my friend, who was a healer, he came in the room, and he can actually change his aura and everything like that too. And he's like, read mine. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. But I read it anyways. And then he's like, holy shit. And then we actually went out to eat sushi afterwards. And they're like, Carol, how many kids does that guy have? I'm like, and right away I saw 3 energy bodies.
Oh, wow.
And then towards the night, I'm just kind of curious. I'm like, okay, I want to see if this is true or not. And I said, hey, sir, excuse me. I'm just practicing my spiritual ability. Can I ask you a question? He's like, sure. I'm like, how many kids do you have? And he's like, actually, I don't have any kids. I'm married and I have a stepson. I'm like, yeah, but how many pets do you have? And he's like, I have 3 Pomeranians.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then afterwards, we went into the spiritual church and they were having an auction. And then my friend put my name in the auction for psychic readings. I'm like, oh God. But then what happened was people were fighting over my psychic readings, and I was getting like high bids. So that's how it started. And it just kind of grew and evolved. So it's not that like I can also pinpoint traumas. I see past lives, and the connection and all these other different things. So I think the more and more that I trusted what was coming and I never questioned it, it just started to grow and evolve in ways that I can't even explain.
See, that's an inspiration to everybody that's listening right now, because I think a lot of us tend to shut down, not knowing how to deal with it and kind of being afraid. So that is very inspirational. Like you said, when you surrender to it, it seems like things open up.
Yeah. And, the thing is, it's almost like what people need to realize is that we're so focused on what we can see. What's in front of our radar screen, the physicality of things. But there's so much that happens on the unseen that's more vast and more amazing than I can ever imagine. You just need to tune in and tap into it. Because we sit in this physical suit, we all think, oh, that's all we are. But there's so many workings that happen in the unseen. It's just miraculous. I've had so many amazing spiritual experiences that I can't even begin to imagine how that unfolded for me. But then I think the key is like when you have an amazing spiritual experience, like I remember doing this divine dance meditation and my eyes were closed, but my whole body illuminated. I wasn't scared of it. I was like, before when I understood what it was, like if that happened to me when I didn't understand what it was going on, then I would have been, you would have sent me to the fucking cuckoo house. Because I knew what was happening. It was such a beautiful experience. But the thing is, once I experienced something like that, I know a lot of times with spirituality, people want to be able to experience that same thing again. But for me, I'm just kind of happy that I experienced that certain thing, because for me, spirituality is not about the attainment of something or the experience of something. Spirituality to me is about releasing all the programmings that you were layered upon your true being. You know what I mean? Where you don't know who you are from what you've been told you were.
Absolutely. Oh, that is awesome. And I like that comment about sugarcoating and tells you what you need to hear. Because I have several clients that go, "Oh, I know. I've been told this before." Do you have that a lot too, where clients will say, "I know you've told me, Carol, several times, and I'm having a hard time"?
Well, see, this is another thing that is, I think it's really dangerous in, I'm going to fucking use that word, dangerous in the personal development industry, because everyone wants a pill for every ill. Everyone wants instant gratification. So when you think about, even the moment of conception, when you're in the mother's womb and you're already being like programmed and, taught about certain things. And when the baby comes out, what are the words that they learn? Mama, dada, toy, and all this other stuff. So they're learning all these different aspects other than themselves. So when you think about that, then you're going into high school, and then you go to get an education, and then you go learn a job. And where in between that are you actually learning about yourself?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think when people are coming to me for wanting to get healed, I say that it's possible to have instant transformation only when that has become a habit.
Yes.
Only when it happens automatically, like it's a unconscious competence. You know what I mean? But everyone wants that quick fix. But if you've been operating that way for your whole life, you have to be able to give yourself the patience and the wherewithal and compassion when you're working through all this kind of stuff. But most importantly, since I know the exact steps that people need to take, they have to do the fucking work. There's nothing around it. Like, you have to be responsible for how your life is and how it turns out. It's no one else's responsibility.
Love it. Love that answer.
Absolutely.
And love you.
Oh, thank you. And I love the one word that you said was habit.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of us, you know, what we do is before it becomes a habit, we stop. We just quit. You know, and it's like you said, you got to keep going, and then it becomes a habit, and then you'll change that behavior.
Mm-hmm. Because when I first, like, I'll give you a perfect example. When I first got like arrested, right? Like, and then I went out, like my boss at the time, he knew my character. So I was still working in real estate, but the shit started hitting the fan. Like, you know, my mortgage broker that I was working with was stealing my clients. Clients were going MIA. And then I just, essentially I had to leave that job. And so I had a time period of a year and I was really working on myself, but then I diligently for a whole year, 6 to 8 hours a day, working on myself, reading books, taking workshops, seminar programs, all these other things, because I wanted the capacity to have that mental strength to deal with everything that I was dealing with, rather than having to revert back to the person that first got arrested. Because little did I know that I was going to go through all of this other fucking shit for, you know, 6 years down the road. So I almost kind of had an inkling that I was preparing myself for what was to come. But it wasn't an overnight thing. And I've been consciously working on myself personally and spiritually for the last 12 years. So I always say it's kind of like an automatic thing that has happened.
Yeah.
And I can't quit, even if I want to fucking quit. I'd be like, I'm done. I don't feel like it. I don't feel up to the task. But even if myself, I say that I cannot stop even if I wanted to, because that habit is so ingrained to me to keep on going and pursuing and accomplishing that I can't do it any other way than that.
Right. And, you know, even if we don't make it to that habit form, as long as you say, okay, I'm going to try it again and not give up, like you said.
But see, the thing is, like, I think the important aspect too is language. You know what I mean? When you say trying, that's already synonymous with failing and not doing.
That is true.
Yes. So essentially, when you're saying you want to do something, don't say I have to, because have to is like already a negative connotation. It's like you're dragging your feet. But if you use words that are more empowering, like I choose to live this life, I choose to make this decision, I choose to be a better version of myself each day, then that already feels more uplifting. So language has a big part to do with that too.
And that's one thing personally I have to work on. I'll start talking to somebody and I'll hear that negative language and I'll have to stop myself and go, okay, let me restart that. Especially with my mentor. And she's going, yeah, you need to restate that again. So I know what you mean about the power of language. And it is so true. So true.
Absolutely. So I think it's that time in the show.
Sure. Well, you know what? I haven't even opened my can of beer, which I found. So I will, cheers to you guys. And
well, I want to say, Carol, thank you so much for all your inspiration and information. It's awesome. Thank you.
My pleasure. And thanks for inviting me on this show and being able to share and to be able to vibe and learn from you guys as well.
Yep. And so we are now moving into the part of the show where we are going to be doing readings for people. And so how we do this is for anybody that would like a reading, go ahead and drop a comment in the chat. And also what we do is we will each draw a card for you. Michelle and I are using cards. Carol is amazing and is going to give you all a message just based on who we are bringing in. So we are going to start. We did have somebody reach out right before the show, so we want to make sure to get her in, and that is Karen Pulver. She is open for reading, guys. So Michelle, do you want to go ahead and start?
Absolutely. Okay, let me connect with her spirit real quick. You know, it's very interesting, Karen, whenever I'm getting with your spirit right now, with your aura, it's like you got really excited that you were going to be chosen. It's like her spirit just kind of like went up quite a bit. I am going to go ahead and pull a card. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull first. I have 3 different decks, one for spiritual and other things. So I'm going to go ahead and draw one for spiritual. And this is just something that you need to look at for this week. Oh, I love this. Okay, so it says, go with the flow, let things happen. So what I'm really feeling, and that's kind of what I was feeling before I even pulled the card, is that you are in a very good place. I mean, you're very happy and everything, but because things are opening up and things are beginning to happen in your life, that you tend to want to, be in control. And so make sure that you just go with the flow. Let things happen. And what's really important about this picture is the girl is actually, riding on these, I guess they're fish, and there's a big wave behind her, and she's not worried about it. She's just going, I'm going to do and learn. It's almost what Carol talked about tonight. I'm going to learn from all of my experiences. Absolutely. All right. So to you, Karen. Thank you.
So, all right. And what the card that I actually pulled is the Divine Life Purpose card. And what caught my attention about this is it says, trust the signs and your inner guidance, which are leading you to fulfillment, which goes right along with what Michelle is saying. Just trust that, get very in touch with that inner guidance, which I know that you are somebody who does that, and just look for those signs because they're there, and if they aren't there, then they're coming for you. So
absolutely.
Okay, so what I kind of tuned in to you, Karen. What they're showing me is like, how are you really wanting to show up in this world? And the thing is, there's a distinction between how you're wanting to show up, really, and how you want people to, how you think you want people for you to show up. You know what I mean? So there's this kind of inner like discrepancy of like you wanting to be your real self, but then not being accepted for who your real self is and your true colors, because there's still these aspects of yourself of that people pleasing and wanting to kind of wear this mask of who you should be. But I think the reason why my hands are like this, the person that people want you to be is more further back, because your higher self is wanting you to push out and be that aspect of you that you always wanted. But then there's that discrepancy of like wanting to be the people pleaser. So you're gonna have to ask yourself, is living your life for others more important than living your life on your own terms? Because life in this on this earth is very finite, and you don't want to get to the end of your life regretting not being able to pursue what it is that you wanted, not being able to say what you wanted, not showing up for yourself how you wanted, all because you wanted to please others. And the thing is, you can only, if you really want to truly please others in a way of not people pleasing, it's by you being your true authentic self. And I think I don't see you and I can't think, but I think I'm hitting it on the spot because I think that's what you feel. There's an aspect of you that wants to raise your voice, scream out at the top of your lungs, and be like, this is me, and I don't give a fuck what you guys think, but this is how I'm choosing to show up on this world and more, because I've done so much for other people. Now it's my turn to be me and show up as me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And so our next person is going to be Tammy Pennington. And she was asked by written, please. So, Michelle?
Okay, you want me to go first? Sorry, I had to turn off my camera earlier. My power was about to go out. I thought my computer was plugged in. Okay, so Tammy, what I'm really getting from your aura right now is I'm almost feeling like you're blocking. I don't know if that makes any sense. So if you don't mind, take a couple of deep breaths. And I don't know if it's because you've had a busy day. I know that you're not resistant to it, but for some reason, I'm feeling blockage there. Okay, I'm going to do. All right, I'm feeling it now. Awesome. Yeah, and I'm thinking, what I'm really getting from you is that you had one of those stressful days or a stressful week. And, we tend to close up whenever that happens. All right, so I am going to pull a card out from, like, you got to get moving, okay? I love this. Okay, so this is honor the process. So whatever cycle that you are in right now, if it's very stressful, again, just honor what's going on, okay? And just know that whatever's going on, you're going to be learning from it. Take a deep breath and relax, because you are actually, and I'm kind of being pulled for that butterfly, you're actually in a transformation, okay? You're transforming. I think once you get over that mountain, you're going to see what's behind it, and you're going to be going, oh, that's what I've been working on, and that's what I've been working for. Okay, and you're almost there. So I'm going to leave you with that.
Awesome. The card that I chose for you is actually Rose Quartz card. And what caught my attention about this is, like, there is all this like light that's coming from this image. And the word that goes beneath it says live or love life. And it's just kind of that reminder of make sure that no matter what you're doing, where you're going, you actually take the time to love where you are at. It's okay to allow yourself to love where you're at, and be happy with yourself. And I think that that's just an excellent reminder of to just rose quartz is a stone it's a very gentle stone, and it's got a very gentle energy. And I think it's just something where it's just be really gentle with yourself right now. It's because you're going through that transition.
Can I see that card again? I don't know if I saw that. I'm sorry, Cassie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I didn't see it. Like you were moving around going, oh, I want to see it.
So, all right.
Okay, so Tammy, the first thing that I got from you is deep sadness. Like, they showed me a picture of you curled up in a little ball, and it's what they're showing me is that it's almost like you can't leave the past behind. Like, you're still consumed with what happened to the past, and you're identifying with what happened. But that's the thing, it's the past. You don't need to identify it. Take the lessons, and that will be able to propel you forward. So whether that they're showing me a man, or it could be doing with a relationship, but it's something with your past that you're still identifying, that's still keeping you hostage in whatever sadness that you are right now. Because all they show me is you curled up in a little ball, and they're showing that you need to leave the past behind.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
So our Michelle, did you have something to add to that?
Oh, no, I didn't at all. I was just going that, yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. It just seemed like everything went together. And I was just saying that, that's wonderful, Tammy, that you got that wonderful message. I'm going to go ahead and raise my glass for all the readings that we've done so far.
Cheers.
Absolutely.
All right. And we do have our next person. Her name is Christina Fisher. And she says, oh, please take me. So, all right. So we're going to.
All right. So who's going first?
Carol, you want to go?
Okay. So, Christina, they're bringing something up for me regarding like your purpose in life. And they are showing me that something with speaking, something with empowerment. I'm not sure if you're currently a teacher right now, but they're saying that, they're showing you as wanting to be able to use your voice to empower others. And that there's kind of this feeling or inkling of you wanting to do more in that aspect. And they're saying, allow yourself to do that. And it's almost like they're saying that you're already kind of leading in a sense. So whether you're already a teacher yourself or you're doing some kind of facilitation, but I think it's more of like, broadcasting it more, but more on a grander scale.
That is awesome. And right when you were saying teacher, what I was getting from you, girl, is that I am feeling a lot of child energy. And what I'm seeing around you, and it's very interesting, I tend to doodle whenever I start doing the readings, and I am drawing flowers around you. So I don't know if you are around flowers or you like flowers, but I just see that freshness around you. And I think by looking at your energy that you just love being here, you celebrate, which is awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go more spiritual. I just feel like that's kind of more of where your energy is, but it's almost like you celebrate every day, that you're a very optimistic person. So I'm really feeling you're upbeat. And I think you're an empath too. I mean, I'm feeling that, that strong spiritual energy. All right. So let's see. Memories. So this is awesome. Okay. So that's what I was kind of thinking too. Whenever you're celebrating daily, okay, cherish those memories. And you can also cherish the memories of a loved one. Okay. But what I'm really getting from the card is mainly just any memory that you have, look at the positive. And you're creating these memories with people that are around you. And I think that's why they love being around you. Okay. You attract that because you're so optimistic. Okay. She runs a charity for survivors of suicide. Okay. That's awesome that you are working with people and you're like kind of a healer. So that is awesome. Okay. So I am going to leave you with that. All right.
All right. And the card that I actually got for this is the Azurite card, and it is for deep emotional healing. And I do feel like you're very well on your road to healing from your own past, and that gives you the opportunity to help others heal from that. And it actually literally says on the card, you're willing to devote time and energy toward therapeutic care, which goes right along with what you do for a living. So that doing that life, I feel like you're definitely there in the space that you're fulfilling your life purpose.
Absolutely. All right.
They also wanted me to give it say it again. So Christina, you want to operate on a grander scale. So don't hold back and just pursue what it is that you've been guided to do on the level that you want. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Let's do it. We leave you with that, Christina.
Yeah, see, I only have a couple of zips. I'm already buzzed.
Oh, no. Yeah, always have water just in case that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. So our next one is going to be Whitney Harden. And so we actually have some comments in the feed telling us to pick her. So
my goodness.
We are going to go ahead and pick her. So, all right, Michelle, what do you?
Yeah, I'm writing because it's very interesting, Whitney. The first thing that I was getting is that you went through your energy. It just came straight through that you are very, very tough. And you're resilient, which means whatever comes your way, you are going to stand your ground. It's almost like you're a warrior, okay? And I think because you have been through a lot when you were younger, that this has made you into a warrior. And it's like you're able to really help people, and it's like you attract all of these angels too. So you've got angels around you protecting you because you are dealing with some tough situations. So I'm going to I'm going to do more of the healing. I don't know why. And these are my new cards, and I just love them because of the artwork. Okay. All right. So I'm getting a different meaning from this. Okay. Now it says hydrate. Okay. This means that you really need to take your self-care, make sure you drink lots of water. Because, the stress that you're going through right now and being that warrior, you really need to take care of yourself. But I'm also feeling that you need to replenish yourself, your soul. So whenever whatever you're dealing with, you need to take some time out for you. If this is sitting alone in a quiet room or meditating, that's what you need to do. Okay. But definitely take care of yourself and definitely drink lots of water and try to replenish. I think with water, that's really going to help. Okay. Take your aunt to the water park. Oh, I like that. I have to laugh at that. All right. So I'm going to leave you with that, my dear.
Okay. And then just coincidentally building off of that, the card that I pulled was the calcite card. And so yellow calcite is all about your solar plexus, and it's about that belief in yourself, which I feel like is fairly strong. But this particular card is also about taking charge of your schedule. Especially when it gets busy, that's where you need to take your boundaries and say, these are my yeses, these are my nos, and really fine tune it to where the things that you're putting your time and your effort and your energy towards are the things that are going to help propel you forward. Just because when we do get so busy, if you're a people pleaser like me, you say yes to everything and then your energy gets really scattered. So it's really important for you to make sure to bring that to even when those times get super busy, just really maintaining that schedule and maintaining your boundaries and maintaining your own energy. And I'm going to swing it over to Carol.
So Whitney Houston, I don't know, you know her, but, what they kind of, they said for you is they want me to ask you a question, actually. When is the last time you had playtime? And it's like, the thing that they want me to do is like, you're always so robotic, Mr. Roboto, Roboto. So it's like, when's the last time that you've given yourself time to play, to kind of get in touch with that inner child, just to do some crazy nonsense stuff, like jump in the sprinkler, you know what I mean? Go face painting or go to, an amusement park. Like, when have you allowed yourself to really get in touch with that playful side of yourself? Because it's almost like that part needs to be integrated into your life so it can bring back more of that fun and like they're saying spontaneity, you know what I mean? So you can uplift yourself, because it's almost if you're so in serious mode, so robotic, it doesn't give for that kind of that joy and adventure in your life. And I think that's more of what they want you to experience. And that's why they're asking, like, when's the last time you had playtime? So really keep that in mind when you are kind of moving along in your journey in life. They really want you to implement more of that playtime.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. So we are just right about at the top of the hour. So that was our last reading for the night. We so appreciate everybody who came on and participated. We love having you all here. If we didn't get to you, we will be back into we're every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. You can also reach out to either Carol, Michelle, myself to book a reading in private. And with that, we are going to close the show with us. So Carol, tell us how people can get a hold of you.
All right, so they can get a hold of me on all social platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Twitter, all at Carol Banayos. So CarolBanayos.
All right, Michelle, let everyone know how they can get a hold of you.
Okay, well, you can reach me on Facebook at Michelle Henderson. Oh my gosh, you got it right there. And also have a website, just the same thing, www.michellehendersonmedium, and also have a Twitter. And I also have a Instagram page with the same name. So yeah, so social media galore. But I appreciate you so much, Cassie, for allowing me to come on for Tracy, because Tracy is just awesome. So I feel very honored that you asked me. Thank you.
Well, I am so super happy to have you back. It was definitely an honor to have you back. So,
thank you.
And my name is Cassie Clayton. You can find me at Stargazers Unite, stargazersunite.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Also, for Metaphysical Happy Hour, we do have a website, metaphysicalhappyhour.com. You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, any of the podcast platforms. To hear any of our other shows, you can also find us over on YouTube, Stargazers Unite, or Tracy Escobar, the Red Couch Medium. Again, we have totally loved having everybody here. This has just been a wonderful evening. Carol, thank you so much for being our guest. And Michelle, thank you for joining and being part of the show. And with that, we will bid you all good night.
Much love.